Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is Sonya Highfield. She is a Boston born and bred entrepreneur dedicated to helping creative entrepreneurial women lead successful lives and run profitable businesses they love. She started her commercial and fine art photography business, Sonya Highfield Photography, in 2012, then founded Real World Creatives in 2015, which provides intuitive business and mindset coaching to women, as well as a virtual community and in-person workshops. Sonya also provides inspirational speaking on money mindset at conferences, retreats, and other empowering events. Founding Real World Creatives was her solution to giving creative folks the business savvy they need while supporting them with a positive mindset work and connecting them to others who are on the same journey. Sonya takes a holistic approach to business and is passionate about creating safe spaces for people to learn and share about all that goes into entrepreneurship. Her courses focus on money and mindset and take the coziest, least intimidating approach to becoming financially educated and empowered, so more women can create the impact they deserve in the world through their chosen business paths. When she's not working, Sonya loves to travel, expanding her spiritual practice, watching her husband cook, and searching for that perfect margarita. I love that. That's so fun to throw that right at the end. Sonya, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for carving out some time to join us and tell us more about your story and your life. And I'm really excited to get started. So go ahead and tell us something interesting about yourself or your life.
Ooh, okay. Something interesting. This is probably something I should have planned ahead because now I'm in that moment of like, why am I interesting? So yeah, let me share a little because often, and today even, I was sharing with people that I'm an intuitive business and mindset coach, and people are like, cool, what does that mean? And so I'll share. So yeah, I started out as a photographer, but I've always been very intuitive, and I didn't really know what that meant. You know, growing up, it was that word was thrown around and the word spiritual was thrown around, but I didn't really know what all that meant. And so nowadays, what that looks like for me is that I'm looking at my altar in my office corner over here, and I have candles and crystals and oracle cards and tarot cards, and meditation is a big tool that I use in my business. And so when I say a holistic approach to business, I really mean combining the kind of traditional and modern like business savvy and strategy and tools with that internal wisdom that we actually all have, and making sure that our energy is in alignment and really at the forefront of what we're doing and what we're putting out into the world. And now I get to do cool things like meditations around money, right? Like stuff I never would have thought of. So that's me.
I love that. That's cool. So how long have you been doing your coaching?
So I started Real World Creatives in 2015. That's kind of a mouthful. And it's really expanded over the last 4 years now. So I actually didn't start it thinking that I was going to be a coach. I actually had quite a big resistance to using that term. And I came around to it, and now I really do a mix of coaching and consulting and teaching and guiding. But yeah, that's my full-time jam now.
That's awesome. And so is it group work? Is it individual? Is it a little bit of both? I know you mentioned workshops and the community base. Do you do group coachings and consulting, or is it all one-on-one stuff?
So yeah, I do a mix. So I have a variety of options for ways that people can work with me. So I do one-to-one, and everything from like a 1 hour session to 6 months. together. And then I also have group programs. Right now I just started a new mastermind group. So we do, coaching and the group kind of masterminding, sharing ideas and resources and support. And then I have courses that are also both the DIY and group live settings.
Cool. Awesome. I like
all
that.
the things.
I like, we do all the things. We have a little bit of everything. I like it. That's cool. Okay, so let's dive in about fear. Tell us about a significant time in your life that fear held you back from living your life fully.
I think that fear has really been a big theme in my entrepreneurial journey. And even going back to like my photography business, being afraid to really be creative with it. Being afraid that I wasn't going to quite fit what clients wanted, or being afraid to charge more. And then when I was transitioning and knew that it was kind of time to let go of the photography business and go into coaching, but I didn't have a full roster of clients. Like I hadn't made, full-time income from it yet.
Right.
And so there was a lot of fear because kind of like the logical pieces weren't there. Sure. And so even though I knew that like my soul was on fire when I was working with women and guiding them and coaching them, I had a massive fear about like, okay, but what about the money? And what about letting go of my first business, because that really felt like my baby. And it was like, that's what I know. I'm a photographer. If I don't have that business, what am I? And so I think I really held on, and I was doing both things for probably longer than I needed to, because I was really afraid to fully step in and say, hey, I'm a business coach. I'm a mindset coach. I do intuitive energy work. I use, meditation and crystals, and really like the fear of owning that.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Cool.
I
think that's very relatable with entrepreneurship itself is just very fearful because, well, for one, we're in charge of our own successes, but also our own failures or struggles. And there's really no one to like hit you on the head and be like, hey, you didn't do that the way you said you were going to do it again. We are in charge of our own destiny with how our businesses go and how they shift and the changes that we make in them. So it is a scary thing. But yeah, I can relate to the leaving, thinking about leaving your first business and moving into something else. Like that's what you knew and what you had invested time, energy, money, like everything in, but moving into that new space. So when the fear was holding you back from actually like stepping into the coaching and the consulting, where were you mentally when you weren't transitioning yet? And how did you feel about yourself during that time?
I think there was a lot of internal struggle going on, but it did play out externally as well, right? So I knew that I wanted to be working with other creative women and building their businesses, but at the same time, I was having photo clients come to me. I had built up that business enough that I didn't have to put that much work in, and that's how I was making money. And so, like, luckily, people were just coming to me for work, but I dreaded doing it. I didn't want to go. I hated doing the editing. I ended up not serving those clients as best I could because I really didn't want to be there. I was tired of it. I wasn't into it. I didn't really care that much, which, for me, it is important that like my work looks really good. And so, like not caring is weird, and it was tough. And then I would have to edit the photos and not feel good about, what I was sending off necessarily, or just felt like I was kind of half-assing it, and that really doesn't speak to like who I am and what I want to provide clients. So that didn't feel great. but I also, was having trouble saying, okay, I'm moving into this other business because I have all this evidence that it's successful, right? I didn't really have all that evidence yet. I had
Yeah.
people telling me, you're good at this, I like what you do, but like the money wasn't quite there, the clients weren't quite all there. And so being brave enough to tell people I'm going to switch, that was scary. And just coming out of the spiritual closet, the coaching closet, that was scary. And just being very self-conscious and knowing kind of internally like what my magic is and my wisdom and all that stuff that I did feel really secure in, but then putting it out into the world. And I think I was kind of in denial at the time too, that like I had fear around that, or that I was like self-conscious of that. But I think it definitely, looking back, I can say it definitely played a role in kind of the transition.
Right. Well, I love that you, like the integrity is really what I thought of when you were talking about like how you were kind of going through the motions with what you knew that you were good at, which, I mean, you were great at your photography and people were coming to you. So the extra jump that you take when you are making money at something, but you're not passionate about it, it's not setting your soul on fire, you don't feel like it's your real purpose. And then transitioning that, like, that is scary, but that's awesome that you had the integrity to be like, listen, this is just not fulfilling your soul the way it should be when you're working so hard to have a business and it's just not, the feeling is not there. And like you said, the half-assing thing, like, that doesn't feel good. Especially if you're not passionate about it.
Yeah. And I mean, this is kind of like a side note, but one of the actually really beautiful things that happened in this process was that I got to pass off my great clients to other photographers who I know who needed the work, right?
Yeah.
Who were really excited to have more clients and do the work. And so that was one of the things that actually kind of made it easier, because I was like, I kind of get to do a good deed and, pass along this work to people who really want it and need it.
Yeah, of course. Being that connection, that's awesome that you were able to do that. And your clients, I'm sure, appreciated like the referral to go to other people too. I do the same thing with specializing in boudoir. People ask, well, they don't really anymore ask if I do other things, but when they would, or they did in the past, I would refer them to other people because you want to serve them somehow. And like you said, like you felt like you weren't serving them. So why not give them to someone that can give the full service that they deserve too? Totally. So I love that you mentioned that part of it too, because that is a struggle with stepping out of the fear and being brave enough to just say like, it's not my jam. And I'm moving into something that I'm really passionate about. And the people that are, excited for you, those are the people that you need in your corner. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So talking about making the transition and moving into your consulting and coaching, what compelled you to actually jump ship from saying, here's my photography business and I'm going to step over here and do the more consulting? What was the end factor for like making the decision?
Yeah. So this is actually kind of a cool story. So it was.
Oh, good. I like cool stories.
It was the fall of 2017. I think that's when it was. Yeah, fall of 2017. And I had started doing some speaking, and I was looking for conferences to talk at or events to talk at, and like literally just like Googling things. And I came across this conference for art entrepreneurship that was happening in San Diego. And I happened to have friends getting married in San Diego like the week before the conference.
Nice.
And so I have another set of friends that live in San Diego as well, who I could go and stay with for free. And so I decided, I applied to the conference, I got in, I was like, wow, okay. But they didn't
go to San Diego.
Yeah, it worked out, but the conference wasn't paying me to be there. They weren't paying to fly me out. And so internally I was like, well, I'm going to San Diego for this wedding anyways. I
Right.
have a free place to stay. It's freaking San Diego. Why not spend a couple weeks there?
Yeah.
And so I made the decision that I was going to go and spend 2 weeks in San Diego, go to the wedding, and then speak at this conference. And that meant that 2 weeks of that month, I wasn't going to have my usual photography income. And so I had this amazing opportunity where my husband came with me to the wedding, and then he flew home after the weekend. So I really had all of this time to myself and to work on my coaching business. And I put together like a mini series that I ran while I was out there. And it was the first time that I was making money solely from the coaching work and not photography. And I really got to experience what it felt like when I was doing exactly what I knew I was supposed to be doing. And so it was amazing. I can remember, like, I have a notebook where I keep my income, and I can remember like putting in the notebook, like, oh, I got like $45 from this person, and I got $25 from this person. It wasn't a lot of money, but
Right.
it felt
It was flowing.
so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, heck yeah. And then I spoke at this conference that was completely different than what I was expecting. I spoke to a room full of professors, college professors. I gave a talk on mindset, and I was so nervous, and it was awesome. I had someone come up to me afterwards and give me a hug and be like, that was exactly what I needed to hear. I had another woman who was a professor who wanted to interview me for a book that she was writing about entrepreneurship. And so those 2 weeks were really what I needed to say, okay, now's the time. I can do it. My energy is like on board. We're ready. And I decided that, so that was in October of 2017. I decided after that I was going to transition out of my photography business. I had maybe a couple more clients that year, but I really went full steam ahead into my coaching work.
That's so cool. I love that, it's so true that when we put our intentions like out there, that things show up that we need to like align us for where we're supposed to go. So had you not already been going to San Diego, you would have never entertained the idea of going to San Diego for an unpaid speaking gig.
Yeah.
And had the downtime for yourself and like your friends that stepped up and had the place for you to stay, like all those things lined up for you to just find your way and really make the decision. And that's like one of the biggest things, is making the decision to jump ship from the fear that was holding you back and transition into where you feel like you're supposed to go. So that's really
yeah. And I mean, it's kind of funny because I was thinking about this earlier too, is that like, sometimes when we have a lot going on and we're kind of like, I wish we could just pause life, right? And like take a couple days away and just like deal with one thing. And that really like never happens. But I feel like in that moment, I had this magical experience where I got time to really like not hit pause, but have space.
Yeah.
Just space.
Yeah. Well, and you were out of your regular routine of like photography and doing all the things that you would do at home and seeing all the same stuff, and that it did create the space for you to just open your mind to the possibilities that you could start doing your consulting and coaching, and it did open that up for you. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. That is a fun story. San Diego, there you go. That's awesome. So what kind of advice would you give people about overcoming fear?
So the thing that I always tell people, and I talk about fear a lot with my audience and my clients, and it's a big topic on the agenda, right? For any kind of business owner.
Right. There's fear in everything, big, small, every single day, but we have to move through them somehow.
Yeah. The thing that really helps me and that I tell other people is to not think about the fear leading up to whatever it is that you're going to do, the action, the event, whatever, but really to imagine yourself on the other side of taking the action. What feelings come from that, right? So like relief, pride, excitement, accomplishment, joy, right? All the good stuff that's on the other side of fear, and to keep connecting to those emotions, because that's going to make it easier to take the action steps, right? To get you there. So that's always my go-to advice is like, don't fear the good stuff, right? Like taking the action, doing the talk, sharing whatever might be scary, but on the other side of it is all the good stuff that you want.
Right. And like you said, you said there was one woman that did this and one woman that came up to you and said this and that, and you got a hug. And I think that's really a big takeaway too, is that no matter what we're doing, if we're living our purpose out and we feel fulfilled in doing it, you're just even if you're helping one person, then good on you. Like you feel fulfilled, this person's getting value from you, and you are living out your purpose and you know it, which is the most important part, even if it's just one person.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that a lot. So I skipped one of my questions too. So when you were shifting from your photography into the coaching, and breaking free of the fear in that and moving in the new direction, sometimes the relationships and friendships, they shift and move as well. So go ahead and talk about the friendships, relationships that were with your photography, and then going into consulting and then coming out of the spiritual closet, like all of that.
Yeah, so I think that I actually have been pretty lucky. I have a very supportive family, lots of kind of spiritual woo-woo that goes on. And so I really never like lost support or had any hardship there, even though I still kind of struggled to fully be like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I think similarly with, friendships, I think a lot of my, as I kind of call them, like muggle friends, like, non-entrepreneurial spiritual friends, like they don't necessarily get it, but everyone was supportive and I think interested. And I think really the awesome thing was that as I made that transition, as I dove more into the spiritual communities, I've gained so many good, friends and peers and supporters and women who fully embrace me and who I feel like know me, and even connecting with my Facebook group that I run.
Yeah.
I was a little scared to kind of start shifting things and get it a little more in alignment, but it felt so good. Like I've had so many just amazing, lovely people come into my life. And really, like, I feel so good in my business relationships now. And I never had that kind of personal connection with my photography clients. I was much more like professional job, this, that. And with this work, it's, I'm doing mostly like video calls with people like this. So I'm in my house, they're in their house. It's much more personal. It's much more cozy and intimate. And, we talk about life and business and all of the things. And so just like so many good connections and like new experiences that have come out of it. And I think opening myself up to it just brought in all these amazing opportunities and people who are on my same wavelength.
Right. Well, yeah. And that just goes back to, you said being open to it. And I think the two biggest things that you said that really just resonate with almost anything in life is that you need to make the decision, and then you need to be open to how it unfolds.
Yeah.
And the way that you talk about it, like it just exactly how that happened. So that's really exciting. I'm so excited for you that, you were able to transition out of something that wasn't really a real passion for you. And then now that it just aligns so well with you, and the fact that you, the relationships have just grown and got stronger around you, just really shows that you are in the right place and you're in front of the right people that need you. And yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, and I think, like I feel very lucky that I have in-person communities that are supportive and that I connect with. But I have to say, like, the online world really was huge in helping me along this path. And
Yeah.
so for anyone who feels like, they might not have that in-person support, like, please, dive into our communities. My group, I know you have a great community
Yeah.
of women that you're working with. So, like, please go and dive into the online world and find your people, because they're absolutely there, and the connections you can make and the support you can get are really amazing.
Yeah, that's a really good tip and pointer too, that I don't think anyone else has touched on, is that the online aspect of it sometimes seems like daunting and people don't like being on camera, but it's all about connecting and face to face, seeing people's reactions, seeing how you actually connect with people, and really be present when you're talking to people too is huge, which is another reason I love video. So yeah, the online communities, if you don't have one that you really enjoy, that you can find people that are like-minded, absolutely find what makes you excited and like look up a group that is probably for women, and do that, because that's a great tip. So my last question that I always love to ask is, so now that you're living fearlessly and you know how to move through your fear, in the next 5 years, where do you see yourself? Because I'm a big dreamer. I like to manifest and like put it out in the world. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yeah. I would like to have a home. We're currently still renting, and they were looking for a house. So that's a big piece on my list.
Yeah.
But really, I think, growing this, as I like to say, creative empire, where I'm working with women, supporting women in all the different capacities. So doing more in-person events, and I'm collaborating with people on like one-day retreats and virtual summits, and just creating more of those connections and having an impact at a bigger level. I know there's some books in my future. So yeah, I think I'm really open to like, okay, what can the universe serve up? I'm ready and willing, and just very excited to keep seeing, how I can make a difference in the world, and the amazing women that come into my life who inspire me and who I get to support in return, and really seeing more women get financially empowered, feel good in their lives, create a profit in their business, and really share their gifts in the world. That's I guess that's my big vision. And a puppy.
And a puppy. I love it. What kind of puppy?
Oh, I really want a Samoyed.
Oh, they're so cute, fluffy.
Yes, small polar bear.
Small polar bear. Yeah, for sure. But they're so cute.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I love that you said open, willing, and ready, because those are affirmations that I like use for myself
Oh, cool.
in transitions as well. So I like that you just said that. I always pick up on the what little things go back to affirmations, because I'm a huge affirmations person. But
yeah, one of my favorite like go-to affirmation mantras is everything is unfolding beautifully.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like it. That's good. So, okay, so where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me under Real World Creatives pretty much anywhere. So on Instagram, my website is realworldcreatives.com, on Facebook, and then my Facebook group, which is free and open to women, is called the Expansive Women's Network.
Cool. I love it. Okay, and then one last thing that you want to leave the viewers with regarding fear, any tips or anything else that you want to say about fear?
Ooh, what else do I want to say about fear? what was coming to mind in my mind was just like F. I don't know if I can swear on here, but just like F fear, right? I think, I think really that your purpose is bigger than all your fears. And so you can stay stuck in fear for a really long time, but you start truly living as you overcome each one and share yourself and your purpose more with the world. So keep that in mind. Just go for the purpose, because that's all the good stuff. That's the joy. That's the love. That's the abundance. That has to weigh more than the fear.
Yeah, that's a great tip to end on. I really like that. It has to weigh more. I like that a lot. That's awesome. Well, Sonya, I want to say thank you so much for your time today. This was fantastic. Guys, if you are not connected to her yet, you need to go join her group, find her website, check her out. She's always doing some fun challenges and little mindset things, and she's awesome and she has a great presence. So go follow her and check in with her. But again, thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate you coming to share your knowledge and your story.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and thank you for holding this space for women, because I think these are really important conversations to have. And yeah, thank you for sharing your gifts with the world.
Thank you. It's been so fun. Like, it has been my joy. I'm always so scared to get on here. Honestly, like, I'm always like so nervous to do these every single Wednesday and Sunday when I record. But every time I walk away, I'm like, I learned something new from each one of the amazing women that come and share their story. Some little takeaway that I personally wouldn't have even known. So I'm excited to hear the feedback from the viewers, that what you guys are getting from it. So please make sure that you're commenting on the vlog, letting us know, reaching out to us, letting us know takeaways that you have, because we're doing this to show up for you guys and give you value and resources. And we're here to support you in whatever your journey it has for you. So again, just thank you. And remember to love yourself and live fearlessly. Thanks, guys.